could join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
I forgot my glasses.
Okay. Trip for glasses. We'll pause. Those are important.
Sometimes.
Certainly are for me. So we have special meeting minutes of May 14th and regular session minutes of May 16th. Do we have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Painter,
Yes.
Mr. Ubel,
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey,
Aye. And staff discussion? Mr. Bloom, is that what we're planning next? Suki?
We can, Lyle, can you wait? Sure. Okay, let's go ahead and do the
Okay.
agenda.
Okay. Then we have a consent agenda. It was mailed to us on Friday. And if there are no items that need to be pulled from the consent agenda for further discussion and consideration, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as prepared?
So moved.
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Painter,
Yes.
Mr. Ubel,
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey,
Aye. The agenda continues on page 6 with item 11. We have a resolution 62-18 resolving to approve our payments, and mine has X's.
Mine too.
Mine too.
Oops.
So we just won't
We have
spend any money this week. How about that?
we actually
Have
know
it?
the exact amount. It's
Give
1
me the-
million.
It's 1,984,051.81.
054 and 81.
1,984,051.81.
051. 81. All right, I'll make a motion for item 11 to pay our bills in the amount of $1,984,051.81.
Is there a second?
I like the X's better.
And we actually, down in the other X's, actually, this was all fixed, trust me, last night, so don't know what happened.
Sure it was.
Second.
We just got, you didn't pass out the agenda that came from over here, so
Second.
you have a second,
I
okay.
do.
Yes. Mr. Ubel,
Yes.
Mr. Painter,
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey,
Aye. Item 12.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
I have a recommendation of Andy Kutka, Director, Department of Community Economic Development, with the concurrence of Thomas Eigel, County Administrator, to execute change order number 1 to the contract with Smith Construction, located at P.O. Box 223, Fayetteville, Ohio, previously ratified by the Board of County Commissioners on 10/4/2017 for project number 2016-03 relative to the Village of Owensville Cross Street Reconstruction Project in concert with CDBG for fiscal year 2016. This represents an increase in the amount of $10,500 for a total adjusted contract price to date of $148,501.66. It is also an extension of time of 9 months for a completion revised contract date of 12/31/2018. For additions, deletions, or modifications thereto as defined therein, and contingent upon the release of the purchase order required therefore.
Okay, do we have a motion to execute change order number 1 as contained in item 12?
So moved.
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Painter,
Yes.
Mr. Ubel,
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey,
Aye. Item 13.
Thanks, Sherry.
Good morning. Adele Evans, Assistant Director, Community and Economic Development. Item number 13 is a recommendation of Andy Kupta, Director of our department, with the concurrence of Tom Eigel, County Administrator, to adopt resolution number 63-18, resolving to approve the execution of an Ohio Enterprise Zone Agreement by and between the Goshen Township trustees, the county commissioners, Bryan Equipment Sales, Inc., an Ohio corporation with its main offices currently located at 457 Ward's Corner Road, Loveland, Ohio, which is Miami Township, 45140, and FDR 28 Properties, which is the property owner, with main offices located at that same address, for the granting of a 60% tax exemption for 10 years on real property improvements made as part of the project as identified in the referenced agreement. Said exemptions commencing no later than December 31st, 2022, and not extending beyond December 31st, 2032, pursuant to Section 5709.61 through 5709.69 of the Ohio Revised Code, and in compliance with the terms and conditions set forth therein, in consideration of the investment to be made by Bryan Equipment Sales and FDR 28 Properties, LLC, for the expansion and retention of economic development, as well as the preservation and creation of employment opportunities within the designated boundaries of the Rural Jobs and Enterprise Zone in Clermont County, and to direct the clerk of the board to forward the agreement by and between the Goshen Township trustees, the Board of County Commissioners, Bryan Equipment Sales, FDR 28 Properties, to the Ohio Development Services Agency, the Ohio Department of Taxation, and the Clermont County Auditor. So we have been in discussion with Bryan Equipment since early 2018. They are currently landlocked at their Miami Township location. They've been there since the 1980s. They've done 3 expansions. They have purchased 90 acres out in Goshen Township off of State Route 28. And they have committed to retain all 60 of their employees currently in Miami Township. They're building, the size of the building is changing, but in the application and agreement, at least 170,000 square foot warehouse distribution facility. They have received the relocation waiver approval needed from Ohio Department of Development Services Agency, and the Goshen Township trustees approved this agreement on May 7th. Lisa Taylor is here from the company, and I know that she has a couple of words that she would like to say. And also in the audience is Chairman of the Board of Goshen Township Trustees, Bob Hauserman, and Goshen Township Administrator, Steve Pegram, who are here to show their support for the project. So I will turn it over to Lisa, and then I'll answer any questions that you might have.
Good, thank you.
Morning.
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 Very excited
hold
to,
this
oh,
for you.
thank you, Vanna. We're very excited to start this project and partner with Goshen Township and stay in Clermont County. I've been with the company a little, just about 30 years. So I started and we did the 3 expansions while I was at the company. I wasn't there at the onset of the building. So this is exciting for us to be able to start with a whole clean slate. This is the preliminary site development. Some of you have seen it and some haven't. This is the preliminary site development that we have established for the 90 acres. And then this is a rendering of the front of the building so far. So this is all preliminary, but it's very exciting. It'll be a 2-story office building complex with a large distribution center warehouse behind it.
And what's your current size and what's this size? I'm sorry.
Right now, our current size is 115,000 square feet, and we're looking at probably north of 200,000.
Okay.
So we did the 3 expansions and could go no further with expansions. We had the state of Ohio come
I
out.
pass your place every
Yes.
day, twice.
Okay, great. So yeah, we're very excited about this. The Bryan family has been wonderful throughout the years. I've known them for 30 years, and they're very vested in the community and in the company and in the employees and their families.
Very good.
Lisa, what does Bryan Equipment Sales, what do you guys sell, or what do you offer?
We distribute outdoor power equipment, steel product from Germany and Virginia Beach. So we have a 5.5 state territory that we distribute it in. The majority of the employees are here in Ohio, but we have 16 territory managers throughout the 5.5 states that we distribute in the Midwest.
Steel products?
Steel, S-T-I-H-L.
Oh, steel,
Still
yeah,
chain-
sure.
Out, yeah,
Saws and
chainsaws, blowers, trimmers, brush cutters.
Very good. Very good.
Excellent product. No
Thank you.
question about that. You bet.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Lisa.
Okay. Township, you have any? Thing
Either
to
one of
add?
the township reps?
Sure.
Just here to mention how excited everyone is in Goshen Township on this, and it's good, exciting times for us, and we're here to urge the support of the commissioners on this project, and we look forward to working with Brian Equipment. Thank you.
Thank
You
you.
guys are stealing clients from Loveland, huh?
Miami Township.
Miami Township.
Well, address, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yep, Loveland address.
All right.
Any questions, I'd be happy to answer. They expect to start construction this summer and expected to be complete mid-2019.
Okay.
Okay.
We wish them well, but I'll make a motion to approve item 13.
And just before we do that, my understanding is there's also some other property up there that they are going to commercially develop.
So the development that she showed, the Bryan Equipment is going all the way on the back of the property.
Okay.
And then they are going to have 10 to 13 acre tracts, 6 of them total, and then some proposed outlots along 28. So
Lots of development for Goshen Township. Great.
the potential for development, yes.
Yep, yep. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Second,
Mr. Ubel?
Yes.
Mr. Painter?
yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You bet.
14.
Did you want to do a photo or anything?
You want to do a photo with her?
Sure.
If I may, before the agenda item,
Can we do a photo maybe before you take over?
Time for Rick to go ahead and travel, right?
I've learned enough, yeah.
No, you did not.
And in our economic development, folks.
Andy?
And no, Bob and I did not call each other and say black shirt.
Yeah,
Great names.
they even called me. They asked me if I liked her.
Get over right away.
Okay. All right, we're gonna take a couple pictures. 1, 2, 3, and we'll get one more. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
You.
You bet.
Did you still have a question, Wade?
Yeah, I was wondering,
Yeah.
you're a distributor, but can we buy direct?
Not from us, from our,
Get
from
over
our,
it. Okay, just looking to save more money.
yes, but we do have, government bid that does give municipalities a discount through, yeah, throughout our, so you can buy direct through them.
You have GSA pricing on
Yeah.
steel products.
Yes,
thank you.
okay.
Ready?
Yes, sir.
Agenda item number 14 is a recommendation for myself, Wade Grabowski, Clermont County Facilities Management Department, with the concurrence of Mr. Thomas J. Igel, County Administrator, to approve the request to advertise for bids for the heating, ventilation, air conditioning units installation at the Clermont County Family Support Center, pursuant to the specifications therefore, to authorize the clerk of the board to place a legal notice in a newspaper of general circulation on Thursday, 5/31/2018, scheduling a non-mandatory pre-bid meeting conference building tour on 6/7/2018 at 10 a.m., with bids to be received until 2 p.m. local time on Thursday, 6/21/2018, in the office of the Board of County Commissioners, 101 East Main, Batavia, Ohio, where they will be publicly opened and read aloud shortly thereafter. This notice is also posted on the Clermont County's website. This is the HVAC for the Family Support Center. 23 years ago, one of the first things that I did when I started at facilities was to replace these 3. So we're replacing them again. That just tells you I'm getting older. A lot older.
Tell you that they lasted 23 years.
Yeah.
Wade, you're getting older. If you're getting older, we're all getting older.
You guys look like you're getting younger. I'm the one getting older.
How many units are we talking about here?
3. And if I may, just a quick explanation. So we can keep the system up and running while the new systems are going to be installed. They're packaged rooftop units, the new ones. And then after they're in place, up and running, then we'll remove the air handlers and the outside condensing units from the existing.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the request to advertise for bids as contained in item 14?
So moved.
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 15.
Craig Reisner, Clermont County Engineer's Office. Item number 15, recommendation of Patrick J. Munger, County Engineer, with the concurrence of Thomas J. Agel, County Administrator, to execute record plat number 6293052 for the replat of lot in the following subdivision in Union Township. It's Mike Martin subdivision, and it's to create a permanent highway easement. This is part of the Klepper Lane Extension TID project.
I'll make a motion for item 15.
Second.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes.
Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye. Thanks, sir. Item 16.
Item 16 is a recommendation of Patrick J. Munger, County Engineer, with Thomas J. Igel, County Administrator, to execute record plat number 6293053 for the replats of lots in the following subdivision located in Goshen Township. It's a Strominger subdivision, and we're going to create new lot numbers 82R, 83R, and 84R.
Okay. We have a motion to execute the record plat as contained in item 16.
So moved.
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye. And 17.
17 is a recommendation of Patrick J. Munger, County Engineer, to adopt resolution number 064-18, resolving to authorize Patrick J. Munger to execute, certify, and submit an application for financial assistance for infrastructure improvements for project support for the following infrastructure improvement project for program year 32 in the amount outlined below to the Ohio Public Works Commission, Columbus, Ohio, including all understandings and assurances therein required, and to act in accordance with the application and to provide such additional information as may be required pursuant to and in compliance with Chapter 164 of the ORC, and further to authorize Patrick J. Munger to execute the Ohio Public Works Commission Project Grant Agreement. This application is for two bridge projects, Bristol Road and 9 Mile Tabasco Road, both located in Pierce Township.
We have a motion to adopt the resolutions contained in item 17.
So moved.
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye. Item 18. Thank you.
Item 18 is a recommendation to appoint the following individuals to serve as members on the District 10 Public Works Integrating Committee as representatives and alternates for the County of Clermont. This will be for the term that begins on June 1st of this year and ends May 31st of 2021. We have as a member Andy Kukta with an alternate Adele Evans, and as the other member will be Lyle Bloom with the alternate Chris Rowland.
Okay, do we have a motion to appoint those persons to the OPWC?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
We've got item 19 on as disposition of the levy. We have the county engineer here, if he wants to speak at all to this before we
You want him to, right?
present.
Thank you, Suki. I'm Pat Munger. I'm the Clermont County Engineer. We have had our two required meetings on May 8th and May 15th.
Plus one.
Plus one, plus an additional public information. So we covered those bases. I presented some preliminary information back in March, which sort of got the ball rolling. If you remember, we had the meetings, presented some additional information at those meetings. I believe the all that information has been posted and online. A lot of information has been about. We've received some comments. I think they've been read into the record, and I guess today would be the opportunity for the board to ask any additional questions relative to this proposal, and then my recommendation or my request would be that you would take formal action on this issue.
Pat, the fuel tax we use now, we get 28 cents per gallon, correct?
Correct. The state does. I mean, there's a state collects 28 cents, and there's a distribution on how that 28 cents gets divided amongst everybody in the state.
Is that a federal or is that just a state?
That's just state. There is a federal tax. There is a federal gas tax. It's around I think it's 18.4 cents a gallon.
On top of the 28 cents.
Correct. And again, those are gasoline, those are fuel tax, so the federal goes to Washington and comes back in terms of grants and different projects that we would apply for, mainly through our area. Our main source for something like that would be through OKI. A lot of the gas tax gets sent back to these MPOs, and then they distribute the funds. But the gas tax is a straight distribution, so the 28 cents is collected. A portion of that, it varies in terms of it's not an exact, 2 pennies or 1 penny or whatever, but it's around $200 million that gets then redistributed to the counties. So if you take that divided by 88 counties, that's how we get our 2.3 million, or that's how we got our 2.3 some million last year from the gas tax, and then the registrations are separate and apart from that.
So I guess our state legislators could pass new legislation to have a more amicable, even tax of everybody who drives, because today we've got electric cars, and I brought this up last week.
Right.
This is just a Band-Aid, this $5.
This is, obviously, any additional revenues, we're at a point, and again, I think we mentioned this, or I know I mentioned this at the meeting, the different cost of inflations and cost increases and the things that we've been able to do internally to try to balance those. This is absolutely needed and necessary, and it'll be a great step forward. It's going to provide an additional $1 million for our road improvement fund. It's not the answer. It's not the final answer, but it's a great step in the right direction relative to allowing us to better maintain the roads in Clermont County.
Have any other states in the country have a better program than our 28 cents per gallon? Because a lot of cars don't use gallons of gas anymore.
Yeah, most states have the same kind of formulaic with gas tax. I'm not aware.
Everybody's in the same predicament.
Everybody's in the same boat, and some have the only difference in some states, they have indexed that. So instead of it being set flat, it might be indexed to some consumer price index or whatever. Ours, unfortunately, is not. It's just a stagnant, and obviously over time the last increase in gas tax was back in 2005, and then the last increase in any kind of permissive fee, which is what's being contemplated here today, is back in 2001, even further back. So it's clear that we need
among counties, but it's also split among townships and villages and
the permissive fee. Yeah, the total permissive fee is. Oh, yeah, gas tax is distributed, yes.
distributed through all those organizations.
Yes,
So-
yeah,
So right now in Clermont County, the total permissive fee that's on the books, not counting this request for the $5, can't be greater than $20.
correct.
Right at the current.
Right.
Some of those townships and villages are at the $15 level because they have never voted themselves that $5.
Right.
That correct.
That's currently on the books, correct.
Available to them if they choose to.
It is.
That's correct. And I think the numbers on that, Judy, correct me if I'm wrong, 8 townships have actually invoked that $5, and I think 3
Only three,
municipalities.
and only 3 municipalities, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So there are a lot there that haven't acted. Just for a second, Pat, just talk about the opposition and talk about the meeting attendance.
You know, I thought you know, again, you never know how these things are going to go, but we had very few people either show up or send in opposition, and so it depends on your perspective. My perspective on that is silence is approval. You know, a lot of folks look at the facts in terms of the amount of time that's gone by since the last increase. Certainly, the price of things have increased over those decades, nearly 2 decades, from a permissive fee perspective. You know, so I think from an opposition or from I had a lot of you know, verbal support, you know, not really formalized, but as I would run into people and meet people, they seemed to be supportive. That showed, you know, there wasn't huge opposition in terms of crowds. The people, I think there was just a handful of people that actually either showed up or sent something in opposition. So I think that spoke largely, and we had that third meeting, so we went above and beyond in terms of, you know, trying to reach out and notifying it. I know the word got out because I got a lot of you know, just in personal, you know, just it's a grocery store or wherever.
And informally, the request was also explained to the Township Trustees Association.
Correct.
With all the township trustees in attendance.
So I think a combination of the public notification and the public meetings and the information that we presented as to the need, you know, just because we're allowed to or able to put on a fee doesn't mean it's necessarily a good idea, but I think we demonstrated the need and the direct benefit to such an increase. $1 million will help. Again, it's not the final solution. The final solution is something that you know, gets adjusted or indexed, because it's great when these things happen, but 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, we're going to be right back into this situation where we're behind the 8 ball, so to speak, with cost of increases.
Well, and the $5 doesn't put us in the pink. I mean,
No, it doesn't put us where we need to with our road program, but it's
we're at 39 years. It's going to cut it in half, and we used to shoot for 12, 15 years to repave roads.
Like I said, I'm not going to turn it away. I'm very appreciative of you know, the public and their understanding and relative to the need, and they have my, you know, assurance that we're going to, you know, put all this money right back into the roads. That's our number one priority.
Well, Pat, I commend you for keeping your budget down and everything you've done. At the same time, I hate to see new taxes added on, but I think we need our legislators to come up with something new in terms of legislation to get away from this 28 cents per gallon limit, and maybe have something more along the lines of a tax per mile driven. So every year when you register, you have to be able to prove miles driven in the prior year, and that's what your tax is. So everyone's on the same boat.
There continues to be a lot of debate about that, you know, a user fee or a, you know, daily, you know, miles driven type of thing seems to be a hot topic.
And before we move on there, Pat, let's just talk specifics for a second. You know, traveling all around the county, three things I hear all the time. 3 most important things to the citizens of Clermont County are fix the roads, fix the daggone roads. So I just want to talk. When we talk road improvement fund, you know, we talk in generalities. This particular $1 million is going to be used for the road improvement fund. Define what that $1 million is going to be used for. And the reason I ask that is because previous to this request, there was a $5 request that was just for repair of bridges.
Correct.
Okay?
Right.
And so this one, we've talked about repair of roads. Can you kind of expound on
Sure.
that a little bit?
Absolutely. On an annual basis, if you look at our resurfacing program, which is a program that we do on an annual basis, and that is that is a volume of work that is then bid out. So we'll solicit bids, and there's two to three major road asphalt companies in Cincinnati, and so we have a good pool of contractors that would bid on this work. But it's formally known as our resurfacing program. And if you look at what we've done over the last 5 years, we've averaged about $1 million, $1.1 million, $1.2 million out of MV&G funds that go towards the resurfacing program. Now we use a lot of grant money, whether it be OPWC or other grants, to support that. So some years we've had $3-4 million that go towards our. But those grants kind of come on a year-to-year basis. But on an average, we've been spending about $1 million, $1 million, $2 million from MV&G. This will allow us to effectively double that. So all these monies will go towards our resurfacing program, which then goes right back into maintaining our roads. So what we're going to use this money for is to put it in the resurfacing program, so that on a yearly basis we'll try, like Ed referred to, with currently our $1 million gets us about, we're on nearly a 40-year cycle from we have 400 miles of road, so it gets us about 10-12 miles of road is about $1 million will get us. So this will allow us to double that.
Because I know the last thing I have is a 2018 road resurfacing program, and I think that was about $667,000.
Right.
Wasn't near those kinds of millions of dollars.
Right. Like I said, on average, we've been averaging, if you look at it over the last 5 years, a period of time, we've been averaging about a 1.2 million from MV&G budget. And this will allow us to, on an annual basis, effectively double that.
So we're basically going to go from 1.1 to 2.1.
Correct.
Okay.
Or 2.2.
Yeah,
somewhere in that
that's a little over $1 million.
Right.
Okay. And I think the actual collection on the registration is probably about 1.2 or 1.3.
It's going to be, if it should be north of $1 million.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I noticed the resolution that's on here also talks about tracking that per that road surfacing program, if I remember right. It's to be separately tracked from the permissive tax within the motor vehicle gas and tax fund to ensure that it's solely used for road improvement program in Clermont County.
Gotcha.
Okay. All right. I'm good.
Want to go ahead and read the whole motion?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we have for item number 19, we have a recommendation from Pat Monger, County Engineer, to adopt Resolution 06518. This is resolving to levy the additional motor vehicle license tax in the amount of $5 on all motor vehicles, the District of Registration, which is located in Clermont County, for the purpose of funding the Road Improvement Program of Clermont County, pursuant to and in compliance with Section 450424 of the Revised Code. The tax will be collected according to Section 450409 by the registrar of the motor vehicle or a deputy registrar, at the same time that the annual applications for the registration of those motor vehicles are made, effective with motor vehicle registrations years that begin January 1st of 2019, with the understanding, as you mentioned, that the tax receipts will be separately tracked from other permissive tax receipts within the motor vehicle and gas tax fund that will ensure that they are solely used for expenses related to the road improvement program.
Did we have a motion to adopt that resolution? Was that, resolution?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Painter,
Yes.
Mr. Ubel,
Yes.
Aye. And
Now we're to staff discussion.
now it's staff discussion. Okay, thank you.
Good morning.
Morning, Lyle.
I'm Lyle Bloom, Director with the Clermont County Water Resource Department, and earlier this month, I updated the board on the responses we've received to date for Newtonsville. We've, well, for the past couple of years, been trying to get comments back. Maybe hand that down to Suki. Thank you.
Thank you.
Comments back from residents to determine if they're in support of the project, if they're opposed to the project, and then if they're in support, do they support the current design that we had proposed and recommended, or we had some comments from residents that they wanted the project redesigned to provide an all-gravity collection system. And this is the same responses, this is the same summary that I presented again earlier this month. And if you look just at, if we were to opt to discontinue the project, 55% of the residents were opposed to discontinuing it, or 55% of the property owners that responded. I would like to qualify, we only had 59% of the property owners actually responded. So of that 59%, 55, the majority were opposed to discontinuing the project. They wanted some type of sewer system there. So then you look at if we do we redesign the project to an all-gravity collection system, or do we build it as is? Redesigning it to all-gravity, 39% supported redesigning it, and 27% supported the design and costs as is. If we redesign the project, we presented to the property owners, their assessments will go up. For a property with 100 feet of frontage, it'll be about a $4,000 increase. But preliminary engineering report identified
20 years?
over 40
40
years, correct.
Okay.
It was a 40-year assessment, 2.25% interest loan on that. The construction costs just for the gravity, for the collection system would increase just over $900,000. I think the preliminary engineering report identified $909,000. And then there'd be some additional costs associated with the treatment plant. It was designed assuming the step system for about 50 of the properties. So if it's all gravity, some of the tanks will need to be larger at the treatment plant itself. So again, earlier this month, I made a recommendation that we proceed with redesign of the project. I think Commissioner Ubel asked, what's the redesign going to cost? Because the county generally pays for design fees. So we received a proposal from the consultant to redesign just about half the collection system, and the treatment plant would be $248,457.
What was that number?
248,457. And just for the record, we've spent on engineering on this just over $1 million already to date.
So this is simply the engineering to redesign the system, not the, or is this the estimate of the construction cost with the?
That would be the engineering fees to redesign the project. The construction costs will go up just for the collection system, about $909,000. That was all based on preliminary engineering data. And then there'll be some additional costs with the treatment plant.
Well, just a quick question. I remember when you presented a couple of times, for the last 2 times, public session or public meeting, to do an all-gravity system, it required a piece of property where the owner was not willing to sell. How did we get around that, or did they change their mind?
Well, that was, when the project originally started, we looked at 3 treatment plant sites. The preferred site is downstream of the village topographically. All the creeks and everything flow right past this piece of property. So it would make design of an all-gravity collection system much easier. We wouldn't be fighting topography. That property owner initially was receptive to selling a portion of her property to locate the treatment plant. After we went through the selection process, she decided she didn't want it to sell. So then we moved to site number 2, which was actually located in the center of town, center of Newtonsville, and owned by the village itself. They've expressed that they would sell us a portion of property. I think it was 2 to 3 acres that we would need for the treatment plant site. And, but the problem with that site is, again, it's located in the center of the village, so half the village naturally, by the topography, flows towards that treatment plant. The other half of the village, we're fighting grade, so that's where we came up with the STEP system, the septic tank effluent pump, to provide the most cost-effective way to provide gravity sewer, or to provide conventional sewer, public sewer to all the property owners affected by the project. So the other option, keeping the treatment plant where it's located at, we would need to build more of a regional lift station. All the property owners to the north of the treatment plant would flow north to that lift station, back up to the treatment plant.
So it's a lift station then, and
Yes, yep.
thank you.
Gravity to the lift station.
The homes that were currently on the STEP system. So, and also at the last meeting earlier this month when we talked, I'd recommended that we look at including capacity fees in the assessment rule. We had originally not included capacity fees because right now any new customer of any part of our that wants to tie into our wastewater system has to pay capacity fees, and that the capacity fees are for future upgrades to the treatment plant, to downstream lift stations, to downstream sanitary sewers, to provide capacity for that new customer. Since the residents were building, they're paying for the cost of their own treatment plant, they're paying for the cost of their own treatment system, we thought, well, it didn't make sense to add capacity fees. After looking at it, we would recommend including capacity fees in the calculation, but the county would basically contribute all those fees back in. So for existing customer, or for existing homes that are out there, they're likely going to be required to tie in within probably 2 years after the project is complete. So we'll recoup those capacity fees within the 2 years. The vacant lots that could be developed in the future, whenever those are developed, we would collect capacity fees, and it would offset what we'd already paid into the project. So we'd just be putting up a little money up front.
The advantage is that bigger users pay more.
Correct. So a multifamily building would have a higher capacity fee, and that's going to reduce the total assessments for a lot of the other customers. Vacant lots right now would not pay a capacity fee, so their overall assessment's going to go down. Homes that are more than 200 feet away from the sewer aren't going to be required. The Board of Health can't require them to connect, so their assessments would go down. There were several examples. A lot of the people with a lot of road frontage, their assessments would go down more than just the 100
I remember
foot.
seeing like an 832 number on that or something, was that right?
That might have been our total contribution for capacity fees. So, yeah, we had all, with the current buildings that are there that would pay capacity fees, was about $539,000. Future capacity fees, we estimated at just over $350,000 for a total of almost $890,000 in capacity fees. So this, again, this is a copy, this is an assessment rule, a possible assessment rule for if we keep the design as is. If we keep the design as is, sorry for all the numbers, this includes everything that was presented to the residents at the public hearing and at the last public involvement meeting. So if you look at column T, that shows the assessments that were presented at the public hearing and at the public involvement meeting. And column U shows the difference if we were to include capacity fees. Some assessments will go up, and they would be represented by a positive number, and the negative numbers are what the decrease would be in the assessments, estimated assessments. So the maximum was right there at line number 3, right on the first page. It's a multifamily. According to our records, it has 8 units. Because our capacity fees, we have to look at how many bedrooms are in each unit to actually calculate it. So I just assumed 4 1-bedroom and 4 2-bedroom. Their assessment is their total assessment is going to go up by just about $10,000. But again, that results in and then there's a couple other multifamily buildings in here, but that's the largest increase for a single parcel. And then there's actually one that would decrease by about $16,000, and that's on line 55. Again, that's a property with, they're being assessed for 385 feet of road frontage. So they're going from a $73,000 assessment to a $57,000 assessment. Average over all of these, they would have, all the properties would have about a $1,561 decrease on average. Again, some are going up, some are going down more than others, but on the average, majority would decrease by including capacity fees.
When you say capacity fee, sorry, but you're talking about new construction?
Nope.
New connections.
So, yeah, anybody, even if the existing customers are going to pay capacity fees, we're contributing, we're going to take that money and put it right back into the project, so we're not actually collecting it.
Going forward.
The other big thing with capacity fees, we heard a lot of customers, or potential customers, concerned about the cost of the project and the affordability. And we offered, there are individual grants available on an individual basis based on age and income that are administered through other agencies. One thing they include in that as part of the grant funding are connection costs. So that would be the cost to abandon their septic tank and connect to the public sewer. It also includes capacity fees in that. So a portion of their assessment could actually be paid by the grant. So this is another spreadsheet. This one shows changes if we were to include capacity fees and redesign it. Redesign it to an all-gravity solution. Their costs, their assessments go up. They still go up. They don't go up as much as the 4,000. Oops, give you one more, sorry. Again, these are very draft. They're going to take some further review to make sure they're 100% correct. Again, the maximum increase with this is the same property, the multifamily property on line 3. It would go up $13,634. On average, because of the construction costs are going to increase, the average assessments are going to increase about $2,428. So if you take a parcel with 100 feet of frontage, their assessments are going to increase $3,430 based on this. Originally, without including capacity fees, they were just over $4,000 increase. It's a lot of data, a lot of numbers.
A lot of numbers.
I'll get back to the original issue. We need to decide really soon whether
Those
we're
dates,
going
yeah.
to proceed as is with the current design or redesign the project to an all-gravity system. Based on the responses we've received, it's not an overwhelming majority and for any of the three options, but 55% were opposed to discontinuing the project. So 55% want either an all-gravity or to redesign the project. So then you look at those two options, and there's a majority, over not a lot, 32 people, or 39%, would rather have the project redesigned, as opposed to 22 people, or 27%, want the design as is.
So Lyle, in summary, going to an all-gravity system is going to increase the cost $909,000.
At least,
Which is,
yes.
going to an all-gravity system, we're increasing the cost by 10%.
Correct.
Roughly.
Yep, yep.
Okay. Good. It's a heroic amount of work you guys put into this over years, so thank you. And
And if we hear from the public health people, they really want this to happen, so.
Correct. They've,
That they're really concerned about the health issues in the village and the areas that will be sewered. So, yeah.
We've been working on this since when?
this
No, no,
project,
no.
we started in 2012, but
1995?
this started back in the 90s when we had looked at it back then. A completely different type of treatment plant, different concept, and affordability became a big issue. So we were able to secure quite a bit of grant money. I think this is the most grant money I've ever seen on a sewer project of this size.
What's your next step? Are you coming back to us with a potential resolution, or where are we at?
So,
How do we get this resolved?
okay, if we're redesigning, our next step will be to come back to you with a professional services agreement. Within the next 2 to 3 weeks, I'd say we'd be back with a professional services agreement to get the consultant started on redesign. We have a schedule. If we go through redesign, we'd have that done in June. And again, we're gonna have to have another public hearing. Either way, I think the right decision is to include capacity fees. Because of that, we're gonna have to have a new public hearing either way. So whatever decision we make. And this is all just assuming redesign. We would have a resolution amending the original plans in October. That's going to start the process to schedule the public hearing. So tentatively, we have a public hearing scheduled for the middle of January 2019. And then start construction in January of 2020. And done in April of 2021. This project is nowhere close to being over, unfortunately.
So do you want a decision from us today about
Do we redesign?
redesign, or do we
Or do we
leave it
proceed as is? And we can take it from there.
The as-is has some benefit in that we don't have another public, well, you said we needed one anyway.
I think we need one just to change the assessment rule. It's going to
Okay.
increase assessments quite a bit on some of the property owners, but I think it's representative of the amount of need that they're going to have for public sewer. A multifamily apartment building has more need than someone on a single
That makes it more
family
fair.
lot.
It makes it more fair to the individual resident, yes.
He doesn't need to make a motion to approve the extra engineering cost of $200?
No, that'll be, if he presents an amendment for the engineering, that's when you'll approve that, but he really needs the direction on
Just a
whether
thumbs
you
up,
want
thumbs
to,
down.
yeah, either go and start the engineering redesign amendment contract, or keep with the current.
No official
save it.
action today.
No, no action
No, but
today.
we
I don't
need
want to bring
direction.
an engineering
The-
agreement.
Correct.
We need he just needs direction on whether to come back with that.
Is this
See,
an amendment?
if you stay with as is, you're
Oh,
saving the
just gonna be a new-
250
an
plus the
all-new.
900.
Yeah. They've changed names too.
Oh.
The original consultant has changed names.
While personally, I think the all-gravity system and the extra cost for engineering, as well as the extra cost for the overall, is the way we have to go, personally. So I would personally say this is what we need to do, and
And that's, again,
Get it
that's
redesigned.
based on the written responses we've received, that's the majority have supported that decision. Not an overwhelming majority, but
yeah.
we were asking for their opinions for a reason, and we've got them.
Well, and in addition to that, this is going to abate a health hazard that has existed for a long time. It's going to change the way Newtonsville looks, not only for them today, but for their children and their grandchildren. And it's what they wanted. Wasn't an overwhelming majority, but it was clear at the meeting that we attended with them.
Mhm.
This was the direction they'd want to go, and so let's move in that direction, and let's get them what they want, and let's put a good project together and make it happen. Okay?
So redesign.
All right, we will be back in a few weeks with a professional services agreement.
Okay.
We're good?
Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And hopefully you won't have to do any more spreadsheets.
You probably will.
I know better than that.
You will.
Yeah, you will.
Yeah, you will.
And now we're going to talk talking about
Okay.
CDBG, right?
Yep.
They had a little meeting and
Community Development Block Grants.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Or is it afternoon now? No, it's morning. I am coming to you to talk about CDBG, Community Development Block Grants allocations for 2018. As we know, the federal government took quite a while to approve its 2018 budget. I am happy to say that the federal government did increase funding for 2018 for Community Development Block Grant by 10%. 2017, we received a 5.6% reduction. 2018, we actually received a 16% increase, which is more than what the federal government increase was. That was mainly due to two reasons. The federal government 10% increase, and every 3 years we have to renew agreements with all of the communities as to whether they want to opt in or opt out of CDBG. Our CDB allocations are assessed on population. That's the way the formula is figured out, by population, and we actually added a community this year when we were given them the opportunity to opt in, so that increased our population, and that's why we got the 16% increase. So our budget for fiscal year 2018 is $988,727.
Do you have any areas that aren't opting in currently?
We have several areas that refuse to opt in, yes. According to HUD, we have to put a 20% cap on administrative funds. So if we would take the full 20% of administrative funds, we would have $197,745. Administrative funds cover many things. It's just not salaries and fringes. We do a lot of the overhead of the projects through administrative funds, so that all of the funds that we give for the projects go straight to the cost of the project, versus using those funds to carry out the project as far as licensings and permits and all of that's concerned. We are also required to only give 15% max on any public service. That's our cap on public service projects. So if we would give a full 15%, it would be $148,309. That would give us a budget of $790,982 towards projects. And I cannot get that. There we go.
You got it.
So this is a list of all of the projects that were submitted for 2018. As you could see, if we would fund every project submitted, we would be under budget by $688,120. Our scores are broken down in 3 categories for scoring the projects. The first is alignment with objectives. What this means, there's our 6 areas that are identified by HUD. Any project funded within CDBG must meet at least one of those 6 objectives. Alignment with priorities. The alignment with priorities are 19 needs that were identified in the community meetings and focus groups when we began our consolidated process in 2014 and are included in our 5-year consolidated plan. And then prior funding. Prior funding is broken down into whether a community was funded within the last 3 years, if they're asking for funding of a part of a multi-phase project, or if they had been funded with, later than 3 years or within the 3 years. This gives the opportunity of spreading funds through other communities, so that the same communities are not receiving the dollars every year. Some communities have more money than others to hire consultants, to complete applications, and this just makes it fairer among all of the communities. And then the last slide is recommendations for the annual action plan. Each year we have to complete an annual action plan that is submitted by HUD that states what we plan on funding and what we plan on doing with our dollars. This scenario is based on all of the highest scoring projects, the community needs, and continual full funding of the CASC program. Just to give you an idea, these 4 communities are the top scoring communities. Tate Township, which was last funded in 1994. Village of Amelia, which has last been funded in 1985. New Richmond, which was 2012, and Franklin Township, which was 2011. This scenario also includes housing opportunities made equal, septic rehab at even funding, people working cooperatively for home repairs, and the continual funding of CASC. I will say that this scenario also shows that we would be taking $8,684 from administrative funds and putting it into the project allocations so that we could fund all 4 projects for the full request of what they're asking. And this will allow us to meet 5 of the 6 objectives that are outlined in our consolidated plan.
So Sherry, do we have to fund as part of these objectives the county projects? And that was the 3 categories: jurisdictions, nonprofits, and county projects. I was just wondering, do you have?
The county projects, actually, CASC is the only project that allows us to meet objective number 6, which is provide and expand public services. And the septic rehab, which meets objectives 2 and 3, also reach the poorest households in our communities. They are fixing septic systems in homeowners that could not afford to do that, and in some cases would have to leave their homes. And the idea of CDBG programs is to try to keep homeowners in their homes.
So you've got your 6 objectives, so you're, maybe I didn't catch it, but you have to hit one of all 6.
We try to meet as many as we can. We don't have to hit all of them. One of the things that was not considered a priority when we did all of our focus groups was the enhanced economic development. Now, training programs, that's another story. People would like to see training programs, but we never get applications from anybody for training programs. So we can only fund what we get applied for.
And that's the thing, in consideration, what, there was 14 total
Yes.
applications, but
Yes.
2 of those include CASC and home, and those are they don't submit applications for that, right? They're on a 3-year continuing basis.
And home is fair housing outreach, and we are actually required to provide fair housing. So housing opportunities made equal helps with resolutions of landlord-tenant issues, handicapped accessibility in apartments and rentals, those types of items that housing opportunities, they take all of the phone calls for us. They handle all of the resolution. They're very good at it.
So what's the next step?
The next step is I gave you backup documentation of all of the scoring and funding and all of that, which is that packet that I set at your, and that's just for your reading pleasure. You know, if you're having a hard time falling asleep tonight, I would recommend it. However, what I need from you all today is, yes, we would like to see this move forward so I could begin to write our annual action plan and get it out for review. Just because the federal government waited until the mid part of May to let us know what our allocations are, doesn't mean that I have the same amount of time.
Right.
I have to have this plan written, 30-day comment period, and submitted by July 5th.
Oh my, 30-day comment period prior to
It would
July
have to be
5th.
June 27th. So I will have to bring a completed annual action plan before you on June 27th to vote for permission to submit. But what I need from you right now is do you agree with the recommendation?
I do. I agree with the recommendations that you provided.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I'll get to writing.
Good work.
Thank you.
You did a fine job.
Okay. Any add-ons?
No. Quick
Then we-
executive session?
Yep. We have a need for executive session pursuant to section 12122G3 of the High Revised Code to confer with the prosecuting attorney regarding pending or imminent litigation. Do we have a motion to go into executive session under that section?
So moved.
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Painter,
Yes.
Mr. Ubel,
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey.
Aye. We'll be back. Okay, we're back from executive session. No decisions were made. Is there anything, we have next public participation. Is there anyone in the public that would like to participate? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I'll second that motion.
Mr. Ubel,
Yes.
Mr. Painter, Mr. Humphrey.
Aye. That concludes our business for today. Thanks for joining us and God bless.